Hello, everybody, and welcome to Doomsday Ducks Fan Season 2. Last season, I was calling the series Doomsday Ducks Fan Reaction. That's very derivative of Steve Dangle's LFR Leafs Fan Reaction. This year, I'm going to change up the name to Doomsday Ducks Fan Report. However, let's report on the offseason. So, the last video I made, I was talking about who I thought the Ducks might get in free agency, who I thought the Ducks might take in the draft because they got the second overall pick. They didn't get Connor Bedard, and I was wrong on everything. Wrong on mostly everything. We knew we had Greg Cronin. We knew Verbeek was looking to get a little bit tougher, and I found that where he went and got toughness was not where I thought they would get toughness. So getting into the draft, I was almost sure that the Ducks were going to take Adam Fantilli at number 2. I was like, okay, cool. This dude's going to be like Jack Eichel. Like, Eichel's a great player. Love to see that, you know? I'm very excited to see Fantilli in a Ducks jersey. And Verbeek went and threw a curveball. There had been rumblings that the Ducks were looking at Leo Carlsson for the number 2 overall pick, and that they were talking to him. On the day of the draft, first overall selection, Connor Bedard. Nobody was surprised. And then, the Ducks select with the second overall pick, Leo Carlsson. So let me talk about Leo Carlsson a little bit. Carlsson has been a player that many people have said is great because he adapts at every single level he's played at. When he just started to get into the elite leagues in Sweden, dude took like a few weeks just to get adapted, and then he started to tear it up, understood the game really well, meshed with his players really well. He's a player that a lot of people think makes players around him better. That's never a bad thing to have on your team. A lot of people have compared him to Leon Draisaitl. A lot of people have compared him to Nicholas Backstrom. Like, those are some great comparisons, and if he turns out like either of those players, that's a win at the second overall pick. It is. Whether Adam Fantilli is better or not remains to be seen. We'll see if it was the correct draft pick or not. But Leo Carlsson is an Anaheim Duck, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. So after the draft, we get into free agency. Not only free agency for UFAs, which are unrestricted free agents, but RFAs as well. That includes Troy Terry, that includes Trevor Zegras, and Jamie Drysdale as the big 3. They also have Lucas Dostal that they got to re-sign, and Bo Oliver Gruel, who they had to re-sign as well. They let a few other players walk, like Max Comtois. Kind of expected that to happen. I was kind of hoping they'd get something for him at the draft, but they just let him walk. In fact, it kind of seems like it's been the right choice, as he was on a PTO with the Colorado Avalanche, but failed to sign a contract with them. The Ducks signed 2 of their RFAs relatively quickly. Ben Oliver Gruel, he got a 1-year extension. Lucas Dostal got a 2-year extension. I'm excited to see what Dostal does, and it looks like Gruel is going to have an opportunity at the starting lineup this year, and it'll be interesting to see what he is going to do, because he was a first-round selection. It was late first-round selection, but if he can turn into a good defensive player like they think he's going to be, I'm here for it, man. The Ducks need some good defense. That was very obvious last year when Gibson basically faced almost 50 shots every single game. Besides signing those 2 RFAs, the Ducks actually made some pretty big splashes on the first day of free agency. They signed Alex Killorn and Radko Gudas. Killorn got 4 years at 6 point something. I forget what it is. But the reason I don't really remember what it is because it doesn't matter. The Ducks have all the cap space in the world. By the time that contract ends, the cap will have gone up, and that contract that is at 6 something is going to effectively be somewhere around like the 3.5 like equivalency regarding like how much of the cap it's taking up. Like that contract then will be what 3.5 is against the cap today. Essentially, is what I'm saying. Radko Gudas is only 3 years. They got tough with Alex Killorn and Gudas. I was expecting him to go after someone like Tyler Bertuzzi because he's younger. Milan Lucic is someone that they were talking about. I mentioned that in the last video. Lucic obviously went back to Boston. Bertuzzi went to Toronto. Ducks got Killorn. That is a veteran presence who has won back-to-back Stanley Cups and went to 3 Stanley Cups straight. I'm sorry, but Pat Verbeek, that's a smart signing. People ribbed on the Ducks for this signing. They're like, oh, Alex Killorn got way too much money for way too long. Yes, but he is not here to win a cup. He already did that. He's here to make money and teach these young Ducks how to win a cup. That is what we need. There were so many things this offseason that people railed on Verbeek for, and a lot of it was proven wrong before the start of the season. So other than the Gudas and Killorn signings in free agency, they did go out and get 2 other players. They got Robert Hagg from Philadelphia, and they also got Alex Stalock from the San Jose Sharks last season. Stalock is probably going to be the AHL goalie. Not a terrible idea considering Kling and I'm blanking on their other prospect. But both of them need to develop. You interchange those for backup goalies in the AHL. Let each one get their time. And I think that the Ducks are developing their goalies the right way. I think Dostal is ready for the NHL. I think at a backup role, I think it's not a bad idea. Gibson will get the brunt of the starts, barring any injuries, and Dostal will learn more and more how to play in the league, how to keep your composure, how to stay out of your own head. Because realistically, he's going to be on a team that's going to be pretty bad. The Ducks are going to be pretty bad. Like, there isn't that much of a change, and I expect this team to be better, but still bottom 10 in the league. Ducks also made a trade. They traded a 4th-round pick for Ilya Lyubushkin. He's a defenseman who, when he's on, and when he's off, dude's kind of a stalwart. He can skate, but skating backwards is a bit of a difficulty for him. He's got a good shot, and he's a good puck mover. But again, the defensive side of the puck is where he kind of struggles. He's a big guy, and he does like to hit, but he's not flashy. He's not flashy, and he doesn't make the smartest plays all the time. I saw this guy play for Toronto a few times. I had a few Toronto players on my fantasy team last year, tended to watch them a good amount. He was okay, but he doesn't move the needle that much. Now, let's get to the big 3 contracts. Troy Terry got out of the way real quick. 7x7. Great contract. Fantastic contract. I think he's worth that right now. With him, like, if he didn't get injured, most likely he's leading the Ducks in points last year. There's a decent chance he might have got near 70 last year. He didn't have the goal scoring like he did the previous year, but dude's a leader. He plays defensively well. That's something that's incredibly underrated by Troy Terry, is his stick skills on defense. This dude is a pickpocket, and he does it well. So moving on from Troy Terry, we get to probably the most anxiety-causing contract of the entire offseason for the Ducks fans. And it was Trevor Zegras. And quite frankly, I think this contract is incredibly good for both player and team. So the contract for Zegras is 3 years at $5.75 per year. I think he will easily live up to that contract. He led the team in points last year. Again, that was most likely because Troy Terry was injured. But 5.75, he hasn't proven that he can take this team to the next level on his own. If he wants to get paid in that $11 million range, got to be able to prove that you can literally carry this team on your back. And he hasn't done that yet, considering how bad the Ducks were last year. If he can prove that, and I think he can prove that, then, dude, I'm all for giving him that huge contract on the next one. But I think this was fair. This was a really good sign by Verbeek that he is fair in his contract negotiations, but also drives a hard bargain. He's not going to get pushed around. That was a huge issue for the Leafs in Toronto with Kyle Dubas. I'm not saying that the Leafs pushed Kyle Dubas around, but Kyle Dubas never, ever got a discount from any of those star players. And this is fair, if not even an underpay. I think he will outlive this contract. And I don't think that Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and even John Tavares have lived up to those contracts. John Tavares is a different story. He got signed in free agency. But Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, living up to those contracts, like you were supposed to win, man. By this point, you were supposed to have a few playoff wins under your belt, and you only got one. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Z. I think that the Ducks have put themselves in a really good position that as soon as that next contract comes up, that's their window to start being competitive. And there's a good chance that they'll be able to get Zegras at a good contract that's fair to him, that's fair to the team, and they'll have room to build around him as well. So the last contract the Ducks had to worry about was Jamie Drysdale. This one was really tricky because Drysdale only played 8 games. He also missed the threshold for being able to be offered an offer sheet by another team. So this was a very tricky contract, and just like Zegras, they got to a 3-year deal. 2.3 for Jamie Drysdale is a huge underpay. Ducks got a massive deal here. This is a young defenseman who is 21 years old, who's already put up over 30 points in a single season. Yeah, he didn't have any points in those 8 games last year. The Ducks were horrid in those 8 games last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but they won against the Kraken, and then it was L. It was horrible. They got ran through. It was awful. But, again, was it a flash in the pan? We don't know. 2.3, I think, was fair for 2 years. The third, that's a huge year for the Ducks. $2.3 million in that third year. This dude could already be producing like 50 points at $2.3 million. Both him and Zegras are going to be up for a contract at the same time, and quite frankly, they're both going to be due for a really big raise. That is a 3 years from now problem. Right now, let's enjoy this team, because they are here and ready to win. Some things that we should note, though. Alex Killorn, out 4 to 6 weeks from the start of the preseason, which basically just means he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks from the beginning of the season. He fractured his finger in preseason. They play way too many preseason games, but that's a rant for a different time. Leo Carlsson went down in practice with an injury. Only considered day-to-day. He's going to be back relatively soon. Both him and Brock McGinn are injured, and McGinn is going to... it's kind of unclear what happened to McGinn. There hasn't been a lot of talk on what kind of injury it is, how long he'll be out, but we know Carlsson is day-to-day, and both McGinn and Carlsson will not be playing this weekend against the Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. Instead, their next chance of action is going to be on Tuesday. So, hopefully, we will see at least Leo Carlsson on Tuesday. I don't think it'll be a bad idea for him to just be up in the box watching the first few games anyways. Just see it from up above, see how the game moves, see the pace of the game, everything. Like, yeah, you've probably seen NHL games before, but watching from the box with coaching staff and hearing them talk about things that they want to see, he could get in sync real quick with this team, man. I'm excited to see what Karlsson's going to do this year. I'm excited to see all of their young defense. Minchikov made the lineup. Lacombe made the lineup. Lanoum is looking like he's making the lineup. All three of those guys are going to be so much fun to watch. Minchikov was 10th overall in 2022. You have Jackson Lacombe, who went in the second round, and Tristan Lanoux, he went in the third round, but Minchikov won OHL defenseman. Wait, it was OHL or WHL? I think it was OHL defenseman of the year. Tristan Lanoux won QMJHL defensive defenseman of the year, and we'll see what these kids can bring. We'll see if they stick in the lineup or get sent back down. Lanoux can get sent back down. He's under the age of 20. Minchikov can get sent back down to the the CHL as well. So Lanoux and Minchikov, if they aren't playing well within the first 9 games, they can get sent down to the CHL and they won't have a year of their contract burnt for the NHL. We'll see how it pans out. I would love if all 3 of those players are good enough to stick in the lineup and be everyday defensemen already. I doubt all 3 of them will. We'll see who sticks. All right. Well, the first game is on Saturday, and I will see you Saturday night.